McKenzie, Stephanie Pruitt, Jake Price, Quincy Reed, and Rye Flinlinson. My apologies if I butchered any of those names. All righty, without further ado, we're going to kick her off right here. Josephine Baker, Ashlyn Wright, Maddie McKenzie, Stephanie Pruitt, Jake Price, Quincy Reed, and Rye Flinlinson. This class varies in weight from 1160 all the way to 1236. I want to welcome back the Honorable Judge John McCurry from Hutchinson, Kansas. Also, thanks to Next Level Images from Mount Pleasant, Texas. They are the exclusive photographers for the 2025 NILE Stock Show. We also, friendly reminder, all champion and reserve breed champions are required to have their backdrop photos taken. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to have their photos taken at the backdrop. All photos, ring and backdrop, will be available to view in the northeast corner of the Expo Center. And also, please let them know if you need anything specific while they're here throughout the week. And as a reminder, please no photography at the backdrop or the ringside. Please and thank you. Also, Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vest. And also special thanks to our good friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. Guys, also we have a full lineup of vendors with booth space behind the show ring. If you would, before you leave, go ahead and check those guys out. There's a lot of great products out there. We also have a full line of vendors below the Metro as well. So in your week here at the NILE, if you are looking for something to do, there's a lot of great products and services out there that are worth looking into. Shout out to Western Ranch Supply, serving the Big Sky country with the quality and service you can trust. Stop in their West End store located just off Shiloh exit. A complete farm and ranch store from vet supplies to show supplies or fencing to livestock equipment, saddles and tack, and a large clothing department. Thanks to Rob Erickson, Keith Robinson, and Shane Vandevort. Stores in Billings and Great Falls. Also, shout out to Pine Coulee Bulls. Bulls bred and tested for convenience, efficiency, and profit traits. Pine Coulee Bull Sale will be March 10th, 2025 at the Wagon Box Ranch, Hardin, Montana. Selling over 150 yearling bulls thanks to Jim Stample and John Carroll. We appreciate your support.
We start off our fat calf show here, I guess, because we got steers and heifers together. But just an outstanding individual, I believe, to start off this particular lineup with in terms of just adding combination of balance and look with structural integrity. Still has a significant amount of meat animal shape, if you will, and just get around the ring. Got enough condition on some of these, and they're all going to be lighter weight as we get into this first class. But young lady, if you go ahead and peel him around, this black and white steer, to me, easily has the best presence about him in terms of his balance and phenotype. Just opens up in an immense amount of top shape and hip. He's one of the two probably in this particular lineup that give you that look in terms of balance. He can still get around the ring with more than enough ease in terms of his general movement. The steer that's in second here, just a little quicker and shorter in his maturity pattern. Go ahead, young lady. But the calf handles extremely well, and as you would expect, he opens up with an immense amount of top shape. Good enough in terms of his structure. He's just going to be more conventional as he approaches his end market weight. But here's the calf that still gives us a great look compositionally in terms of his finish and extra muscle dimension and mass. Still got a great look here from the profile and good enough in terms of his feet and leg at the ground. Going to use this market heifer into third. This butterscotch individual, really soft handling. Really appreciate the added expansiveness that she has down her top and out of her upper hip in terms of that added substance and dimension. Got some finishing condition on her. She's good enough in terms of her movement. I'd like to correct her and make her a little more eye appealing in terms of her feet and legs there at the ground, but that's being awful critical of a female that's just got a great meat animal shape. from here, I think there's differences in all three of these white cattle. I'm going to opt to use the bigger skeleton steer, a little bit bigger outlined individual. I'd love to change his hind leg. I'll be the first to admit that. But here's a calf that meets a hand with more shape and defined muscle shape running down his top. A calf that's got bolder in terms of his flank. A calf that I did, again, if I want to change him, I'd like to reconstruct him right there off of his rear tube. The next pair of steers give you a really, really good look here from the standstill on the profile. Going to use the young man steer just a little bit more upright on either end of his skeleton, but he opens up definitely with more shape and dimension right in behind his blade and his shoulder, over his loin edge and out of his upper hip. We just got to get him looser skeleton to get up any higher in the class. The young lady's got a calf that's really intriguing in terms of his balance. He's just too closed up, in both from a muscularity standpoint and just flatter in terms of his rib shape compared to those ahead of him. The young lady is going to conclude this class, a calf that really quite a bit smaller and more conventional in terms of his growth curve. Where I'm concerned with him, he's just quite a bit drier in terms of his rib shape. Would really like to loosen him up in terms of his skeletal movement off either end of his skeleton. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
All righty, your champion of that class is going to be Rye Flinlinson out of Leamington, Utah. And your reserve champ is going to be Ashlyn Wright out of Nephi, Utah. That class goes to Utah right there. Now we're going to move to our second class. We got Tavy Miller coming out of Douglas, Wyoming. And then we got Camden Hess coming out of Strasburg, Colorado. Danny Santee out of Riverton, Wyoming. Heidi Hutchinson from Belgrade, Montana. Elizabeth Moak from Hysham, Montana. And Violet Browning from Livingston, Montana. Cadence Schertz from Riri, Idaho. Well, we want to thank our good friends down at Montana Lottery. Every year, the Montana Lottery provides $2.25 million in scholarships for Montana students pursuing a STEM degree. Your ticket purchase helps fund these scholarships. We want to thank you for playing, and thanks to Montana Lottery for partnering with the NILE. Also, thanks to one of our promotional partners, World West of Joliet, Montana, a custom bull collection service with the experience many have come to trust. Thanks to Scott and Andrea Spickard for all you guys' sponsorship. Talk about a state-of-the-art facility as well. We had a stop there on the Angus Tour not too long ago, and what a good-looking place to go to.
Really high quality class of cattle here that the kids have brought out to us. And these first two, when they hit the ring, and we knew that the bar was going to be set pretty high in terms of just type and kind. You get your hands on these animals and not to disappoint. But I just think there's one that just excels from a balance and structural integrity standpoint. The young lady's got right here with the white belly. To me, he's incredibly fresh in terms of his appearance. He doesn't appear to be old and held over and staggy from that standpoint, but an individual handles extremely fresh, kind of matches that as well. But this calf just excels this particular environment from a balance and structural integrity standpoint. I think this is the one that can get out and move good enough. I'm not calling him perfect by any regard, but a calf that can sure give you that look in terms of his completeness, up-headed, really long and level in terms of his lines and square out of his hip. Love those set and travel off of his hind leg. And that's where I'd like to prefer him over this Charolais calf. I love the body type, the boldness, the mass, the three-dimensional shape that this calf has. He's one that's fresh. Love the dimension that he has. I just like to make him longer, squarer, and leveler from hooks to pins, give him a little bit more coordinated set and travel off of his rear too. But those are two high-quality fat steers. Congratulations to both of them. One that's extremely surprising, I guess you see that he's stout, but his top shape's just incredible in terms of being crisp and square from his loin up over it behind his blades right there. This individual that's in third, just admire him from his added stoutness and muscularity. Probably not as neat in the way he wants to go compared to our two class winners. That's where I'd like to put him a nickel more condition on him with that added muscle would be great. The market heifer grows on you out here, in my opinion. One, maybe unparalleled from a balance standpoint in terms of just her type and kind. Love her in terms of her up-headedness, the length and levelness of her lines, the squareness out of her hip, and got a really intriguing hind leg set. I, for all that added mass up high, would like to give her a little more dimension down low from her forerib back into her flank, give her there in terms of her fat indicators. But she's incredible in terms of her length and her up-headedness. Doesn't want to get out and go with as much authority off of those rear two, probably what works her down here into the fourth hole. The young lady with the white-legged steer that's going to be fifth here, I think, in terms of boldness of body and muscularity, he's all right. He just wants to get more closed up as you get in behind him in terms of his added width and dimension. To me, I'd like to reconstruct him out of his upper hip there, pick his pins up and make him longer and squarer from that regard. Young lady's got a really intriguing red steer in terms of his added mass, his muscularity, his structural integrity, or in terms of his heavy structure to the ground. He just comes to us quite a bit plainer about his front one-third and his head and his sheath, a little bit rounder in his general makeup, and wants to get his hind leg up underneath him. The Red Angus appearing steer that's going to conclude this class, again, an easy feeding kind of an individual. He's bold and deep in terms of his body. He just runs shy in terms of his added muscularity to this stout class. Congratulations, if you would, put your hands together for all these kids.
Man, I tell you what a whale of set of calves right there. Here's how that shook out. Seventh is going to go to Violet Browning out of Livingston, Montana. Sixth is going to be Danny Santee out of Riverton, Wyoming. Fifth is going to be Elizabeth Moak from Hysham, Montana. Fourth is Cadence Schertz from Riri, Idaho. Third is going to be Heidi Hutchinson from Belgrade, Montana. And your reserve champ of this class is going to be Camden Hess out of Strasburg, Colorado. And your champion is going to be Tavy Miller right out of Douglas, Wyoming. Congratulations, guys. Let's roll in right into our third class. That's going to be Emery O'Hara, Ashton Smeltzer, Graham Stinson, Tyler Fisk, Maddie Flowers, Tatum Thompson, JT Perkins and Parker Skinner right from the Skinner Ranch there in Hall, Montana. Once again, special thanks to our arena sponsors, C&B Operations. Check them out for all your John Deere needs, anything from construction to ag, even all the way down to a lawnmower. They can have you covered right there. Also, thanks to Intermountain Heating and Air Conditioning. I tell you what, in Montana, it gets cold and it gets hot, so that is important people to know right there. Rand's Custom Hats. Whether you're looking for a new one or you got one that needs dusted off and reshaped, that is your one-stop shop just right down the road there. Axiota Animal Health, thanks for their sponsorship. Humana, Montana Lottery, VitaFirm, Coors. Nothing colder than the Coors. RCIS, Western Ranch Supply, Stockman Bank, Pine Coulee Bulls, Agribest Feeds, Transoba Genetics, and Hemptana. Thanks for sponsoring our arena. It wouldn't be possible without you. Also, Class 4, you guys will be on deck. Class 4, you'll be on deck. We're going to be coming to you right after this one. Class 4 consists of Stockton White, Lily Baker, Oren Sell, Danny Santee, Taylor, and Case Stayer, and Kinley Bartod. We also want to thank our friends down at Stock Show Secrets. Stock Show Secret brand supplements have innovated the livestock show industry. Like their competitors, Stock Show Secrets offers performance-based products to make your animal do and look better. But Stock Show Secrets also offers products for a safer show experience, a more rewarding show experience. They believe that no matter how good an animal is, it won't place very well if they cannot get shown well. That is what makes Stock Show Secrets different. Check them out online on Facebook or Instagram at stockshowsecrets.com. Also, don't be afraid to check out our great vendors and booths in the trade show area. Got a lot of great products there. Those guys would love to visit with you. We also got great dining experiences as well. I know I had the steak from the food truck out to the right. It was very good, and I also had a coffee that was pretty good as well. So if you're hungry or thirsty, we've got you covered in all assets here at the NILE Stock Show.
Kind of a two-horse race, in my opinion, in this particular class. And even between the two of them, I think this black and white steer wins pretty handily. I think just from a balance perspective, a calf that's extremely proportional in terms of his length of his front end, the length of his side, a calf that's big, powerful hip in him, and where his clear-cut advantage is just structural integrity and the way he wants to get out and handle his hind leg with just a little more authority and more relaxation right there at the surface. But a calf that's an immense amount of power and dimension in that calf. I love the shape of his rib shape. An individual that's got a big top and a big, powerful hip in him. Young lady gets this steer in two parked, and a really, really good look to him in terms of being up-headed and attractive. He's loose and level in terms of his lines, where I'd like to reconstruct him. Not only would I like to see him go more wider and more powerfully constructed as he leaves you, but he just needs a little bit to be desired in terms of the way he wants to meet his surface and set his hind leg down right there in terms of the tan bark right there at his rear pasterns. From there, you can sort maybe the next 3 or 4 of these steers in different directions. For me, the calf that's got a little more on him in terms of his added finish and condition, go with that, his added muscularity, and still one that you can tolerate in terms of his added balance. The young lady's got here, still would love to reconstruct him the way he goes off of those rear two. The young lady's probably got one of the plainer ones to present here. Coming in next, he's rounder in terms of his general makeup, be a little more opened up in his shoulder. He's more distracting about his sheath. Gets just a nickel more off in terms of his pin set, but he's still extremely opened up, extremely massive on top of the side of his skeleton with immense amount of power and muscularity. Just needs to be neater from a balance standpoint. Young man's got one that's really neat to look at from the profile in terms of his lines, his up-headedness, his squareness of hip. He's just entirely too closed up. Not only is he real flat in his forerib and back into his flank, but you get in behind that calf as he leaves you. He's one of the narrowest constructed ones in this particular lineup. Got a practical, kind of an easy feeding looking steer. The young man's coming in next. He's got some rib shape and design. From a balance standpoint, here's one that gets a little more elevated in relation to his rib shape and design. We'd love to drop him down from his forerib back into his flank. The young lady's got one that's a little quicker in terms of his maturity pattern, really round and opened up into the point of his shoulder. You get in behind him, he's extremely bow-legged individual we'd like to reconstruct in terms of his actual movement. Young man's got a nice Angus appearing steer here coming in next, and kind of like the red Angus a class or two ago, just runs out of just real raw red meat product. We'd like to see that calf more opened up right in behind his blade, bigger across his loin edge and wider from pins to pins. He's soft and he's easy feeding. He's probably got as much finish relative to that added the lack of stoutness, I guess, if you will. But calf, we just need to make more pulled apart and three-dimensional from a red meat yield standpoint. Congratulations, really nice duo on top.
Man, I tell you what, that's got me craving a ribeye right there. Here's how that class shook out. 7th is going to be Maddie Flowers. 6th is going to be Tyler Fisk. 5th is going to be Graham Stinson. 4th is going to be Emery O'Hara. 3rd is going to be Parker Skinner. 2nd is going to be, your reserve is going to be Ashton Smeltzer out of Glendive, Montana. And your champion of this class is going to be Tatum Thompson out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Congratulations, guys. We're going to roll right into class number 4. All righty, we're looking for Stockton White, Lily Baker, Oren Sell, Danny Santee, Taylor Yensi from Dillon, Montana, Case Stayer, and Kinley Bartold from Benjamin, Utah. Still looking for Danny Santee and Kinley Bartold. Danny Santee and Kinley Bartold. To the show ring, please. All righty, that's a complete package right there. Class number 5, if you guys would kind of get on deck and get ready for us, we'd appreciate that. That'd be Wyatt Harrison, Riker Schertz, Leighton Murnack, Wade Kramer, Quentin Beery, Davey Frost, and Quentin Harwood. If you guys would have that on your mind, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I want to thank some of our good sponsors and partners here. Western Ranch Supply, serving the Big Sky country with quality and service you can trust. Montana Lottery. Every year, the Montana Lottery provides $2.25 million in scholarships for Montana students pursuing a STEM degree. Your ticket purchase helps fund these scholarships, and they want to thank you for playing. I also want to thank our good friends down at Brevera Bank. Tell you what, if you're going to be in the cattle industry, you dang sure need a good banker. Brevera Bank is there for you. Also, we want to thank K.R. Roush and Wilson Trailers. If you want a good Wilson trailer that'll withhold the test of time, that's the place to go. Go see our good friends down at K.R. Roush and Wilson Trailers. I also want to thank Transnova Genetics. It's the industry leader in advanced reproductive technologies, including embryo transfer, in vitro fertilization, sex-sorted semen, as well as genetic preservation and cloning services. With more than 36 years of experience, Transnova Genetics is the best partner to equip you with the tools you need to achieve your breeding goals. Also want to thank Origin, breeder-to-breeder genetic services, the first and largest genetics company founded and operated by beef cattlemen for beef cattlemen. One stop for customer semen collection, sex sorting of semen, and sales of semen, featuring the #1 Angus sire of the progeny register for the past 3 consecutive years and 4 of the past 5 years. We also want to thank Biozyme and VitaFerm. Make sure to provide the best quality vitamin mineral supplement for your herd with the VitaFerm line, powered by Amaferm, a prebiotic proven to increase intake, digestion, and absorption. VitaFerm is a proud sponsor of this year's NILE Stock Show.
Really nice 3-4 steers here on the top of this class, but I do think it just comes down to a 2-horse race in this particular drive. When the black and white one hits the ring, he commands your attention. They've done an incredible job of getting it presented here today. Just a calf that really appears to be fresh yet, really relaxed in his top line, yet so level. Love him in terms of his hip and off of his hind leg and the flexibility that he has from that regard, getting able to pick him up and put him down. Still, when you meet his hands, plenty of dimension and muscularity there and plenty of finish to go along with it. Really intriguing, the young man, little cowboy here's got here in second in terms of just that added length and extension. I'm not sure if this is a particular breed steer. He does maybe have that neatness in terms of his front 1/3, maybe a nickel harder in terms of his rib shape. But in terms of his added length and muscularity, that added balance and flexibility to go with it, really high quality individual. Congratulations to him. Really drawn to the type and kind and just the practicality and functionality of the white steer in terms of his rib shape and design, his fluid in terms of his movements. You get off to a rear 3/4 of this one, it'll be really hard to beat. From his shoulders back, really appreciate the turn to his rib shape and the added dimension he has. He's probably the farthest along in his finish, and I appreciated that about him. Except today, and from his shoulders forward, that wants to work against him. He just gets a nickel chuffier and plainer through that head and about the shape and design of his neck. But that's a really good, easy feeding kind of a fat steer. Congratulations to him. Like this steer in terms of his balance, a calf that comes up headed out of the top side of his shoulder. He's got enough muscularity laying down his top line. You get off to him at certain times, he maybe doesn't have enough softness and rear rib and flank to him. Calf that gets a little squirrely in terms of the way he's wanted to be designed off his rear hock and right down there at his pastern. But a calf that has a neat show steer look through his front 1/3. From here, we get some steers that I think have some issues. The young lady's steer here are going to be a little more elevated in his kind, probably a little harsher in terms of his touch as you handle him. A calf that's got a good crisp top shape, just not nearly soft enough and enough condition to go with it. Gets a little more restricted in the drive off of his hind leg. The black and white steer here coming in next, a little more modern in his kind. Big, bold rib shape, lots of muscularity, but he's one of the barest in terms of the handle that we've had the opportunity to touch today. And the young lady steer that goes out. They've done a great job of getting him presented. He just gets into a class where he's just shy in terms of his added three-dimensional shape, as a rib shape coming out of his shoulder. We need more dimension and the muscularity right there down his top and over his loin edge and out of his upper hip. Outstanding set of kids. If you would, congratulate them at this time.
My goodness, what a pin of beef right there, absolutely. 7's going to go to Lily Baker out of Bernard, Missouri. 6 is going to be Taylor Yancey out of Dillon, Montana. 5th is going to be Danny Santee out of Riverton, Wyoming. 4th is going to be Stockton White out of Bancroft, Idaho. 3rd is going to be Orrin Sell out of Dayton, Wyoming. 2nd, your reserve champ of this class is going to be Chase Stayer out of Melstone, Montana. And your champion of this class is going to be Kinley Bartold out of Benjamin, Utah. Congratulations, guys. Let's roll into class number 5. That's going to be Wyatt Harrison, Riker Schertz, Leighton Murnack, Wade Kramer, Quentin Beery, Davey Frost, and Quentin Harwood. Go ahead and ride on in. All righty, and if we could get Class 6 on deck, we're going to be coming to you guys next. Class 6, if you could be on deck. Camelia Shimmick, Tavy Miller, Kaylee Salaki, Kinley Bartold, Leighton Murnack, and Olivia Corman, and Annie Walker. Again, I apologize if I butchered any of those names. If you guys would like, you can certainly come over and tell me the proper way to say it. But yes, Class 6, we're going to be coming to you guys next. That's going to be Camille Shimmick, Tavy Miller, Kaylee Salaki, Kinley Bartold, Leighton Murnack, Olivia Corman, and Annie Walker. If you guys could be saddled and ready to go, so to speak, we'll be coming to you guys next. My goodness, what a crowd. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and spending a Saturday with us. Beautiful day here in Billings, Montana. Tell you what, if you look around the ring and see all these great sponsors that are here, they are really investing into tomorrow's future of ranching and future cattlemen and cattlewomen. So if they got something you like, don't be afraid to do business with them because they're sure investing in the future of the sport. Again, Class 6, if you guys would be on deck, we'd greatly appreciate that. Be Camille Shimmick, Tavy Miller, Kaylee Salachi, Kinley Bartold, Leighton Murnack, Olivia Corman, and Annie Walker. We're going to be coming to you guys next. Please be having it on your mind.
Here's just an outstanding. There's four really good ones here, but I think these two up here deserve their own acknowledgement in terms of separating themselves from the pack. And both of them are extremely good. I hate to even nitpick on either one of them, but the Bronco face steer is one of those that just gravitated to in terms of his type and his kind, his balance. I think he's probably a rib longer than the gray steer that's in 2 here. I think he's a little more correct in terms of the way his tail head or his hooks to his pins hook up. Kept a little more appropriate, maybe off his hind leg. Now, both these steers are just incredible in terms of the way they handle, in terms of their freshness, their softness, their squareness to their top. But both these individuals are extremely high quality. The gray steer here might be my favorite in terms of his handle, in terms of his freshness and his turn to doability. I love his rib shape. He's not quite as attractive and up-headed and neat through that front 1/3. Calf that, again, is so soft and so good in terms of his handle, where I want to maybe reconstruct him, and maybe it's not even that as much as just comparison to our class winner. He's not as long and square and maybe not as fluid in terms of the movement out of his rear, too, but that's a pair of extremely high-quality ones. Young lady's got an incredible one in terms of presence here in 3rd, and I'm sure she had higher expectations of that than being in this particular hole, but from his shoulders forward, he's as extended as any that we've seen throughout today. So long and so level in terms of his top line, really big and topped and opened up. He's not quite as square right there from hooks to pins and out of his tail head as either of those steers. Maybe just a nickel harsher in the way he's made from his forerib back into his flank, but a really, really high quality one that'll experience some success yet if she chooses to take him on down the road. The young man in 4 just got into a buzzsaw of a class because this individual here would have been a contender if we'd have seen him previously. A big, stout, rugged individual in terms of his type and kind. Really attractive in the way he goes off of his hind leg. Just not quite as neat, maybe just a nickel more mature in terms of his head and his neck, in terms of his balance. But in terms of priorities of just building livestock, an awful good one. We get in a trio that are a little bit plainer for the size and scale and the weight of this calf, the white-bellied one here, one that's quite a bit harsher in terms of the way he handles, in terms of his finish. We'd like to give him a significant amount of more cover to go with that added weight. Young man steer here coming in next, a little more conventional in terms of his size. We'd like to see him just a little heavier, and with that, he's heavy enough, but just with that, we'd like to see more of him, if you will. The young man's steer here coming in next, a really big-topped, big-ended individual. He just comes to us quite a bit more mature, plainer, and rounder in his general makeup. He's more opened up at the top and point of his shoulder. He's not nearly as neat in the way he wants to set and plant and drive off his rear, too, and his hock. Young lady's steer that's going to conclude this class, he's just the harshest in terms of his body type and kind. He really wants to get up underneath himself. We'd like to reconstruct him to get him up any higher. Congratulations again. Give these exhibitors a big round of applause. What an incredible set they brought out to offer our evaluation.
My goodness, what a good set of calves right there, too. Here's how that class shook out. 8th is going to be Wyatt Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming. 7th is going to be Quentin Beery out of Lusk, Wyoming. 6th is going to be Riker Schertz out of Riri, Idaho. 5th is going to be Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming. And then 4th is going to be Wade Kramer out of Columbus, Montana. 3rd is going to be Davey Frost out of Cowley, Wyoming. Second's going to be Leighton Murnack out of Bowman, North Dakota. And your champion of that class, congratulations, is Quentin Harwood out of Geyser, Montana. Next, we're going to roll right into class number 6. That's going to be Camille Shimmick, Tavy Miller, Kaylee Salachi, Kinley Bartold, Leighton Murnack, Olivia Corman, and Annie Walker. If we could get all first and seconds of every class to start kind of gathering in for this final drive. First and seconds of every class, please start making your way over to the ring because we're going to be coming to you guys next. Also, just a friendly reminder, all Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vest. And again, special thanks goes out to our good friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. It wouldn't be possible without you. And again, if anybody wants to get photos from today, we're happy to have Next Level Images from Mount Pleasant, Texas with us. They're the exclusive photographer for us.
Another outstanding pair of them up here on the top end, and I guess the yellow calf's just more my speed in terms of that added softness in terms of his rib shape and design. He's as loose and flexible out of his hip and off of his hind leg, and just a beautiful hind leg set there to go with it. Wouldn't let me get his hands on him, but you can see that he's got plenty of dimension in terms of the muscularity running down his top and out of his hip. And again, it's just his added softness back from his forerib into his rear rib and flank, and that really flexible, loose hind leg. No doubt the really high-speed show steer here in two in terms of being so extended and up-headed from his shoulders forward, so long and level in terms of his spine, extremely opened up in terms of his muscularity and his loin edge and his ribeye. He's a little more bare than I would have expected to him when you go to handle him. I'd like to see him with a little more finish as you go down and lower on his rib shape, but just an incredible look and a calf that can still get around the ring. One that's a little more opened up at the top and point of his shoulder and a little more concave in terms of his heart here in three. But you cannot deny the added substance, dimension, and power and muscle that he has in terms of running down his top and out of his upper hip. Where he beats the steer here in four is just a little more authority off of that hind leg, a little neater in the way he wants to plant and drive. Young lady's got an extremely intriguing one here from the profile as you just line him out from a silhouette perspective. He's just so neat and up-headed, incredible in terms of his line. She's done a great job of getting him fed. Where I concern to him is just on his up front. Right there, he wants to get a little bit more opened up and over in terms of his knee. Gets a little more bucky in terms of his right there in his knee down to his front pastern. Young lady's got another nice one here coming in next in terms of being bold in terms of rib shape, big top, big ended. He just gets a little plainer, doesn't have those added show steer design that those front end of this particular class has, but a really high quality one that she should still be proud of. The next pair of them are bigger steers and on the heavier end of this particular class, crowding at 15, 20. With that, they're quite a bit plainer in their general makeup. Where I'm probably most concerned with them is they're two of the barest ones we've had the opportunity to handle. With that added weight and substance, we'd just like to see more finish on them to go with that added weight card. Congratulations on an outstanding set of steers. We'll get you some champions here momentarily.
All righty, I mean a whale, a set of calves right there. 7th is going to be Olivia Corman from Bridgeport, Nebraska. 6th is going to be Annie Walker from Portage, Utah. 5th is going to be Tavy Miller from Douglas, Wyoming. 4th is going to be Kinley Bartold from Benjamin, Utah. 3rd is going to be Kaylee Salachi from Brownsville, Oregon. 2nd is going to be Leighton Murnack from Bowman, North Dakota. And your champion of this class is going to be Camille Shimmick from Gering, Nebraska. Congratulations, guys. If you're first and second in any of your classes, please start rounding up because we are going to bring you in for the final drive. So if you were first and second in any of your class, please come down to the sale ring because we are going to kick right into that final drive. Again, if we could have everybody who finished first and second in their class head to the sale ring. We are going to kick off this final drive. All righty, so we got Rye Finlinson, Tavy Miller, Tatum Thompson, Kinley Bartold, Quentin Harwood. And then we've got Camille Shimmick, Ashlyn White, Camden Hess, Ashton Smeltzer, Case Stayer, Leighton Murnack.
Been an outstanding afternoon here evaluating the steers and few market heifers that we were presented. And I think with the 12 of them we got back out here, all these cattle, not only do they give us kind of a show steer look that we love to look at and sort through, but these cattle represent good livestock market animals in terms of having some rib shape and design, some added weight and muscularity. But with some of these cattle, at least we put some finish back on them. And again, if you know me at all, I love structure, integrity. They got to be deep and soft, and but yet still have a really, really good look to them. And I think we've got some incredible opportunities to select some champions out here. I think there's just I'm not good at poker, I guess, if you will, because I wear my feelings on my sleeves and tell you kind of what I think. And if you followed along, I think it's pretty. To me, it's pretty cut and dry, the pair of champions that we're going to put together here to represent the NILE for 2025. And I wish the kids and exhibitors the best of luck in your auction here coming up. But with that said, again, thankful for the opportunity. It's great to be up here evaluating cattle. I'll go out and select you some champions. Give these kids a big round of applause. They won last time. We'll get you some champions.
Well, congratulations to our grand champion junior fed market steer. That's going to go to Quentin Harwood. And then our reserve champion is going to be Leighton Murnack. And then third place is going to go to Camille Shimmick. Congratulations, guys. Excellent work. Give these guys another round of applause. I mean, you talk about a lot of work, a lot of early mornings and long nights. This doesn't happen without a little work ethic. And I tell you what, that's what's going to make these guys stand out amongst today's youth and giving them the tools to really develop a work ethic and stand out in the future. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all your hard work. Congratulations. Also, guys, if we could have the Grand and Reserve head over there, we're going to get pictures taken. Invite whoever you want. We are going to have our good friends from Next Level Images. They're going to be taking pictures for you. And then also another friendly reminder, Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vests. And also special thanks to our good friends, Scott down at Dahlia Western Wear, for embroidering these awards. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. All righty, here in a little bit, we are going to start the senior showmanship, ages 15 to 18. So if you guys want to be ready for that, we got Ashlyn Wright from Nephi, Utah, Josephine Baker from Bernard, Missouri, Wyatt Strouch from Van Tassel, Wyoming, Hadley Cooper from Powell, Wyoming, Jace Rich from Newcastle, Wyoming, Maddie Flowers from Shepherd, Montana, Quentin Harwood from Geyser, Montana, Camille Shimmick from Gehring, Nebraska, and Elizabeth Moak from Hysham, Montana. You guys will kick off the senior showmanship here in a few minutes, so if you want to start heading that way, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Again, guys, none of this would be possible without any of our good sponsors here, so we want to definitely thank those guys. Have you seen these signs on the arena here and you're looking to do some business? These guys are really invested in the future, and all great companies, and they'd be good deals to check out. We also have a full list of vendors in our trade show, not only here but in the bottom of the Metro as well. So if you guys want to take some time in between shows and cruise through there, they got some great products, and they're all very knowledgeable. So if you got any questions on anything, it'd be a great time to go ask them and find out what's new and cutting edge in today's cattle industry. Also, we have some great food vending options as well. If you go out, we've got a couple different food trucks on there, and we've also got, if you need a little pick-me-up, we also got some pretty good coffee right behind there. I know I had a cup before the last show, and really put me where I needed to. So do check those guys out as well if you would.
Rowe, or Strosh, however you say that.
If we could get Wyatt Strosh,
Maddie Flowers,
Matty Flowers,
Quentin Harwood.
and Quentin Harwood over to the holding area, we would greatly appreciate it, please, and thank you. There's going to be Class 1 entering the ring right here. We got Ashlyn Wright, Josephine Baker, Wyatt Straw, Hadley Cooper, Jace Rich, Maddie Flowers, Quentin Harwood, Camille Shimmick, and Elizabeth Moak. Class number 2, you guys will be on deck. Please be thinking about it. That'll be Davey Frost, Taylor Yesney, Heidi Hutchinson, Danny Santee, Caden Schertz, Stephanie Pruitt, Olivia Corman, Annie Walker, and Quentin Beery. You guys will all be on deck following this class. Be thinking about it, please.
As we start senior showmanship, my kids will be the first to tell you this is my pet peeve, and it was probably because I was not naturally good at it, and then all the butt chewings I took. My mom made the trip with me here for the first part of the week, and my dad, in terms of making us kids showmen, we always thought that this was one that you had to earn, and again, wasn't earned necessarily here today. It was always the practice and the hours you put at home. But so I'm going to be very picky, and I'm going to be probably a little more blunt than I should in this particular area. This would be the time when my parents would tell us as juniors to go to the ring and watch the seniors make their mistakes. You try to tweak on it before you come in if you can. Young lady, I think you do a nice job of getting your animal's feet where you need to. I would love to stand you up. You're leaned back like this. I would love to stand you up, square your shoulders into that animal. Young lady with the yellow steer, maybe just a nickel more separation, okay? I tell my kids when they've got their feet and legs where they're set and placed, the endorsement to me or to the judge would be turn around, get a little more separation. I don't want your elbow locked, but a little more separation between you and that animal's face. Young lady here in third, I think, does a nice job. Maybe if you would square your shoulders to the animal, maybe a little bit more to me. I always tell my girls, I don't want to be able to tell what color of jeans that you're wearing on this side, okay? I know that's a new trend to do that, but we're here to show cattle. I think you do a great job, when he wants to cooperate anyway, keeping him in terms of where his feet and legs are. Young lady with the Red Angus steer, I think one of the things we do in showmanship is we're a spokesperson for agriculture, okay? And some of that is, and you about got me, is boots, and belt. And we're wearing tennies out here, so that's going to be my knock on you today, honey. I've sent my kids when they forgot to pack boots. There's got to be somebody in this barn wears the same size as you, and I would urge you to, next time when you come back to do that. Young lady with the yellow steer does a good job. One thing I do is just slow down, about half as many strokes with that stick. We're going to ask the young lady with the yellow steer and the black white-bellied steer here, these two young ladies, if you would, they need your exhibitor numbers here. We'll ask them to come back to our finals, and I urge those kids, again, to come up and watch these seniors as we go through these heats. Congratulations.
Well, congrats to Hadley Cooper and Camille Shimmick. We'll see them back in that final drive. Here's going to be class number 2, Davy Frost, Taylor Yancey, Heidi Hutchinson, Danny Santee, Caden Schertz, Stephanie Pruitt, Olivia Corman, Annie Walker, and Quentin Beery. Class number 3, if you would, you guys will be on deck. That's going to be Tyler Fisk, Violet Browning, Maddie McKenzie, Wyatt Harrison, Ashton Smeltzer, Stockton White, Jake Price, and Oren Sell. If you would, please be ready because we're going to be coming to you right after this class.
going to keep these three young ladies that are pulling over here to come back, and just going to go down here briefly and kind of tell you some things that I'd like to change. Maybe one thing we do with you, young lady, is not only want to kick this hind leg back or the show hind leg back a little bit more of a picture pose, but do a little more of that separation to sell that animal's front 1/3 if you can. Step out and do that. The young lady here, I think you do as good a job to thee as any. I would urge you to pick your chin up. You know, you're so intense, and I think that's just our body. We want to close in. Is when you get your chin down like this, and it kind of like you're looking through the top of your eyes at me. So I think that's just something in the future that we can do. And I've got one of the hardest-headed 11-year-olds you'll ever meet, and she always says, "No, I don't. I don't do that, Dad." You know, even though she might have just won showmanship, I'm there critiquing her. Parents, all I can do to you, urge to you, is to film them. A friend of mine taught us this a long time ago with his kids. They study game film from showmanship, if you will. And there is nothing that tells them that they're doing what you're telling them to do wrong than seeing themselves on a video or in a mirror doing that. Young lady, we're gonna have a life lesson here. Not my life lesson. It took me till I was in my mid-20s. Somebody is always watching. Okay. When I come back from the restroom a while ago, your steer was laying down in the middle of the aisle back here. Okay. That would, with my kids, and again, I'm relating to them because I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on you. Somebody's always watching. I saw that, and I was hoping, that's something, at least maybe we needed to clean him up before we come back in terms of the shavings and stuff in his belly. But if he needed a rest, we probably needed to go to the stall. So I'm just saying, whether it's in showmanship, cow show, you're at church or 4-H activity, anything in the community, somebody's always watching, and that you'll cross that person again. And it just happens to be me today, and instead of that could have been a job interviewer with you here in the near future. So again, make yourself presentable at all times, whether you or your animal, and that's one of the reasons you're not going to get to come back yet today. Young lady, I think a couple times with your red steer, we wanted to move his legs a little bit, maybe more unnatural than the way he actually stopped himself. And both of you two, one of the biggest things I see going around is I always tell my kids when we're walking these animals to have their hand in touch with the handle of the show stick, right? So that the rubber part of the end of the show stick, both of you have it about halfway down, and I always tell my kids if they keep doing it, they're going to get hit by lightning, right? Because they've got it so high in the air. We need to make that stick a little less subtle to be noticed. So again, if you would maybe practice at keeping a finger in touch with that rubber handle. Young man, earlier we just need to have more separation with you, and earlier your feet were more like this. I think more along the lines of what you got right there is what we're asking for. Again, I try not to pick on you, but I want you to learn why you're not coming back. Let's give these exhibitors a big round of applause. Congratulations.
All righty, well, congratulations. We've got Davey Frost coming back, Caden Schertz, and Annie Walker. We'll see you guys in the final round. We're going to move to our third class. That's going to be Tyler Fisk, Violet Browning, Maddie McKenzie, Wyatt Harrison, Ashton Smeltzer, Stockton White, Jake Price, and Oren Sell. Go ahead and come on in. Also, just a friendly reminder, if you guys were ones that were chosen to come back after this round, we'll be coming back to you. So do have it on your mind. Kind of be ready if you would, please, and thank you. And again, we just want to thank all of our great sponsors. Wouldn't be possible without them. You look around this arena, there's a lot of posters up here, and these guys really do believe in the future. cattlemen and cattle women that are in this arena right now. So special thanks to C&B Operations. They got all your needs handled with John Deere, whether that be construction or agriculture side of it, or even as much as a lawnmower. They can take care of that right there. Intermountain Heating and Air Conditioning. Enough said about that. You need it. You can't live without it. If you have problems, get a hold of those guys. Rand's Custom Hats, whether you're looking to buy a new one or get your old one fixed up, they'll take care of you either way. They're just right down the road. Axiota Animal Health, special thanks to them. Humana, Montana Lottery, Amafirm, Coors Light. Nothing quenches the thirst quite like a Coors Light. RCIS, our good friends at Stockman Bank. Agribest Feeds. Hemptana, Stock Show Secrets. And also Transnova Genetics as well. Special thanks to all those guys. Western Ranch Supply also. They got a booth down here. You can go check them out. Wouldn't be possible without them. Thank you, guys. All righty, I got a new announcement to make. Thank goodness, huh? The Cattleman Cut spectator judging, those results are in, and Charlie Shaw is going to win that. Congratulations from Roundup, Montana. They win about a $2,500 worth of prizes in a little package right there. Includes a buckle and banner of things of that sort. So if Charlie Shaw is here, please do go to the livestock office and they will get that package for you. Congratulations on winning the Cattleman's Cut spectator judging. Excellent work there.
Going to bring these three individuals back here that we've pulled. Again, we'll give a little critique and hopefully give you a general insight of why maybe you guys didn't get the opportunity to come back. And I love when the showmanship's at the end of a show because I've got to interact with you guys throughout the afternoon here and maybe see you in once or twice to just kind of get a general idea, maybe a quicker sort, if you will, when we get down to this particular lineup. But young lady up here, you got one of the harder animals to present, and it is a dancing sport, if you will. I always tell our kids in our string of cattle, you got to find your dancing partner, and that isn't going to be the same one every day or every trip. But you've got one that's just harder to present from a general makeup. Now, there's things like, earlier when we were talking about, in the show, I just ask you, keep ring awareness and what we're wanting to do. Young lady in 2, I think you probably do as good a job as the remaining 5 out here. But again, we talked about it earlier, and that's a cardinal rule of wearing tennis shoes and showmanship that I just can't cross, especially at a national, regional level show like this. We were at home at a county fair or something, I'd kind of maybe understand, even though you're closer to home. But those are one of the things. I do appreciate your style. I appreciate the way you keep your feet and legs in, but that's just something that I can't handle today. And we talk about dancing partner, young man, with you. You've got one that's hard to handle. He just doesn't want to stand still and relax and be a part of your team today, and that was earlier in the show as well. With that, I would love to see a little more separation. When you get your feet and legs set up, don't be scared to scratch them on the base of their chest unless they just absolutely won't handle it and beller and blow up. But that would be my token to you is once you get there, take a step back and separate yourself. young man with the white steer here does a nice job as well. One thing, and talk about cardinal sins in terms of showmanship is, my opinion, you can move all three of the other legs, but you can't move your side back leg. It'll never go back, whether we're at the backdrop or out here. It'll never set down correctly again. Caught you a couple times trying to pick that up. I think, like right there, that calf does a better job of just stopping on his own than maybe we were trying to make him over here. And you too, when you kind of get that animal set up, don't be afraid to step out in front of him and show him off. Again, young man, you do a nice job. Again, we got one that's just a little bit harder to present from a balance standpoint. And I just urge you guys to keep practicing. I know some of you guys are in the end of your career, but just keep striving away every time we go in and out of the ring. If we can take one thing away, we'll have a collective effort in terms of showmanship talent at the end. Congratulations. Give these exhibitors a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Well, absolutely nice job, guys. Congratulations to those of you advancing. We got Violet Browning from Livingston, Montana, Ashton Smeltzer from Glendive, Montana, and Stockton White from Bancroft, Idaho. Those guys will make it to the final drive here. So if you guys were asked to come back, please do join. Get ready over by the gate because we will be coming right into this showmanship final drive, if you will. All right, again, here's who's coming back. We got Hadley Cooper, Camille Shimmick, Davey Frost, Caden Schertz, Annie Walker, Violet Browning, Ashton Smeltzer, and Stockton White. Congratulations, guys, and good luck to you. Also, friendly reminder, all Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vest. And special thanks to our good friends down at Dalio Western Wear, Scott & Company, for embroidering these awards and doing a jam-up job for us. We appreciate it. Also, check them out. They've got all your official NILE stock show apparel, vests, coats, you name it. If you want it, they can build it. So go check them out. They're right as at the doors when you walk in.
You ought to be very proud of yourselves to make this particular cut. I think what have we got, 8 of them out here in this particular lineup are incredible in terms of their talent and ability, and I would expect that you guys have experienced success in your region and close to home. And it takes nothing away. I think we picked 2 from what I understand, a champion in reserve. So, again, not necessarily going to be able to give everybody an award today, but, again, I want you all to be proud for making it this far. I think it's just, again, splitting hairs, the differences, and this is one man's opinion on one day just in terms of your style. and format, what fits maybe what I like and how we prefer to exhibit and display our animals. I urge Showmanship is for those kids that maybe didn't come in or wonder why in the heck would I participate in Showmanship. My answer to that is usually at an event, your animals that are win are also shown by kids that get them presented to the best of their ability. So one goes with the other. They go hand in hand, and maybe the two that we're going to use today probably don't have as easy animals to present as some, but I think in terms of just their calm, cool, collective style, they're as good and talented as any. I'll go out and show you those two. Again, hats off to everybody. Congratulations. And I'll pick our reserve first and then our champion. I should have announced that. So again, I'll pick your reserve first, then your champion.
Well, congratulations. Your reserve champ is going to be Violet Browning, and your grand champion showman for the senior showmanship is going to be Annie Walker. Hats off to those guys. Go ahead and give them a round of applause. Also, let's give our judge a round of applause as well. What an awesome amount of knowledge that he's sharing with these kids and everything. And great job to everybody who made our final drive. You guys are all going to be outstanding in your field and did a great job. Let's move into junior showmanship. Class number 1 is going to be Lily Baker out of Bernard, Missouri. Graham Stinson out of Gillette, Wyoming. Casey Salachi out of Brownsville, Oregon. Quincy Reed out of Ogden, Utah. Tavy Miller out of Douglas, Wyoming. And Emery O'Hara out of Fort Benton, Montana. And also, for those of you who were not here at the beginning, our judge for this show is John McCurry out of Hutchinson, Kansas. So special thanks for him for coming up. Really appreciate that. Also, if class number 2 wants to be ready, we're going to be coming to you guys next. That'll be Leighton Murnack, Riker Schertz, JT Perkins, Tatum Thompson, Kinley Bartold, and Parker Skinner. And then also Case Stayer, you will join that group as well. So if you guys would have it on your mind, we would greatly appreciate it.
We're going to keep these two young ladies that are behind me. Young man, you do a nice job. I just want a little more aggressiveness out of you, okay? I want that maybe killer instinct when we hit the gate to come through and just say, I'm here to be a competitor and win. Young lady with the little lightweight steer that I think won your class here today, I think you do an outstanding job. One of the things that maybe I would critique you on anyway as you go around the ring is you were right up, had that steer like right here. And if he wanted to balk at you or fight a little bit, you had to be with him. If you can get yourself just a little bit of separation, then you can kind of green light, red light, go with him and give a little bit of flexibility, but never change your pace of how you're walking would be my critique. Young lady, I think you do a good job. What I would do is slow that stick down, okay? We want to slow the number of strokes down, and I think it'll calm you down. He wants to set that hind leg a little bit like that multiple times, so we don't have weight on that. One thing I would urge you to do, if you leave enough room between you and the one in front of you, you can always pull up and reset. And with one of these young ladies did a nice job of that. That's what got her over here. Young lady with the white steer, I think you do a good job. You're right there on the cusp of coming around. We need to be a little bit more aware of what everybody else is doing. You could have pulled around right there a little sooner. And then one thing, when we got over here, we got maybe just a little bit too arched in terms of our back. Just stand up with our shoulders square and face our animal. You do a great job. Congratulations to these exhibitors. Again, we're going to keep these two young ladies right here to come back out of their heat.
Well, congratulations, Kaylee Salachi out of Brownsville, Oregon. You will advance along with Emery O'Hara right out of Fort Benton, Montana. Congratulations, guys. We will see you in the final drive. Let's move to class number 2. That's going to be Leighton Murnack, Riker Shirks, J.T. Perkins, Tatum Thompson, Kinley Bartold, and Parker Skinner. And also Case Stayer, you will join them as well.
we're going to keep a bulk of these kids. I think this is easily the toughest heat that we've had of any age division here at the moment. And just to be nitpicky of you two just a little bit, young lady, I see like you're halfway down your stick right there right now. I think personally, this is me. I don't want to be telling you what you need as far as tools, but that stick, I'm guessing it's an extra large. I would probably go back down to a large. So you're only using about half of it there and half of it when we lead. I think with that, you would give you a little more separation between you and the calf once we get him kind of endorsed where we want to on the standstill. Young man, I think you do a nice job, but we've talked about it on multiple occasions here throughout the day. There was 2 or 3 girls that were wearing on clouds. You got hey dudes on, and I can't cross that line to bring you back. Okay, it's all about representing our lifestyle, I guess, if we will, in terms of agriculture, and more or less, in my opinion, against hay dudes, it'd be just simply safety of getting you stepped on. There wouldn't be a whole lot of protection. So we appreciate both of you coming out. I just want this to be a teaching moment for both of you. We'll keep these here behind me and add those other 2 young ladies that come out of that last heat. Give these kids a big round of applause.
Okay, so we're going to be coming back with Kaylee Salachi, Emery O'Hara, Leighton Murnack, Riker Schertz, Tatum Thompson, Kinley Bartold, and Rye Finlandson as well, and Case Stayer. You guys are all coming back for our final drive.
If this set of kids here doesn't get your blood pumping in terms of the future, I think these kids come out to compete. And I hope, from wherever part of the region of the country you guys are from, that you've experienced an immense amount of success because you guys all deserve it. And you guys are very, very thorough in your job. Everybody's very nitpicky in terms of where they want to be. You've obviously spent hours and hours practicing at home. At this time, though, the young man in the blue shirt, I think you're our beginner, right? Come on out here, guys. This guy's showing up in age division. Come on over here, bud. He's going to be our champion and beginner, but he showed up, and he still made the heat. This kid's incredible, in my opinion, in terms of just his ability and know-how. And a lot of this is just more you than your animal, just knowing how to handle livestock, if you will. And I want to get him his limelight. He's your champion and beginner, made the heat and the intermediate division. Let's give him a big round of applause. Just an incredible young man. So with that said, I think he could definitely be in contention in this particular group in terms of just his skill and ability out here. And as a guy, we know how much harder it is for us, right? These girls are just always more calm, more cool and collected than us, and it becomes a really, really good challenge. So, again, hats off to you. With that said, I'm going to go out and show you the 2 that I like, and I don't want anybody that gets left standing to take this as a knock on the chin, because I just urge you to go to the next show, because you get to there, you're going to probably knock everybody out in terms of your ability. I think you guys are all that good, And I just urge you, I don't know how old each of you are, but just keep plowing ahead, because you guys will all experience immense amount of success in your career in this particular sport. That's what we call it at our house. This is our kids' sport. You know, I mean, we still play ball sometimes, but this is where our heart is, and this is where we choose to compete and spend our time and money as a family. So, again, congratulations to everybody. I'll go select your reserve and then your champion. Again, congratulate everybody in the ring one more time.
All righty, your reserve grand champion is going to be Emery O'Hara from Fort Benton, Montana. And your grand champion is going to be Kinley Bartold from Benjamin, Utah. And your grand champion of the beginner showmanship will be Case Stayer. Excellent job, guys. We appreciate all the work you put in with shows. Great job to our judge. Very informative, a lot of knowledge there. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and supporting this show and spending the day with us. It wouldn't be possible without the contestants, without the fans, without all the vendors, all the sponsors. Thanks, everybody who was involved in this. We appreciate it. That concludes our show for today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We got a full lineup of shows tomorrow, so thank you very much for coming out.